Hi, my name is Marie van Aam. I work with wine. I do everything with wine. My life is wine. Wine is not only my work, it's my passion. I produce wine, I taste wine, I cook with wine, I sell wine, I write about wine. I love wine. Simple. It got started by a long history. I'm born in Denmark. Came from a small family in the countryside. Was happy enough to have a family that brought me around the world and traveled. And I had an amazing grandmother that loved food and wine. From I was a very small girl, she took me with her into the kitchen. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to match food and wine. That was where it all started. I was cooking with her and tasting wine with her from a very young age. I started loving wine when I was 13, 14 years old. Well, I don't really consider myself a wine expert. There's just so many things to learn in the wine world. So when I was 14, I started loving wine. And I remember buying my first wine book. And opening it was just opening onto a universe that I knew that was where I belonged. So I went to school like everybody else. And I didn't really know what to do. And I did not dare dreaming the dream that I could actually live from my passion, that was wine. Until I was 22, and I decided to give it a chance, because if it wouldn't work, I could still go back to school. My first job was an office girl at a small wine importer in Denmark. I do feel very blessed to have had a couple of very important persons in my life that told me that this was possible, that believed in me all the way along. This very special first person is still one that's very close to me, and I dedicate a lot of time of paying back his favors today. It's a gentleman called François Mos that founded Les Grands Jurys Européens, which is a tasting jury in Europe. He spotted me, I think, at a very early age. I was only 27. I just started working with wine at a different level. I just left Denmark, moved to Spain, took the decision of becoming something that I couldn't become in Denmark. So I meet François Mos at a wine tasting that I was really lucky to get into. And suddenly I get into this room and I was scared for the first time in my life. I was nervous because I was looking around and all of these journalists that I've been looking and reading, buying their books, all of these people were sitting around me. And then François Mos looks at me, so mademoiselle, now that you're in here at the tasting, would you please explain me your opinion about wine number, this and that? And I was like, I'm gonna die now. This is that moment where if I say something now, it's my only shot at it. If I don't say something, I might as well just leave. So I said something and I was really nervous. And then the most beautiful thing ever could happen is that the man sitting on my right-hand side was Michel Beton, one of the most famous French journalists. And just having him within 1 meter was making me nervous. Then he just turned around and said, "That's exactly what I thought about that wine. What a great description." And I was like, oh, this is cool. Since then, I went up to François Mos and thanked him for letting me into the tasting. And since then, I've been at all of his tastings. And as all of these tastings are different places in the world, with a mixture of some of the greatest wine professionals and private amateurs of the wine, it sort of created a club of highly professional people in the wine business. That was my first network, and I built everything else upon that. It made me very special in the beginning, and it took a lot of effort from my side to prove that I was good enough at being there. All of these, first of all, they're all men. They are much older than I am and have been working with wine for 30, 40, 50 years. I just started working with wine. I came from a non-producing country. Most of these people were from France, Italy, Switzerland, countries with a long tradition of wine. So I worked hard to prove that I was worthy of being there, and I learned a lot. I cannot tell you how many hours I put into it because I don't want to count. I love my work. Most of it is not work. I actually don't know. Most of the time I don't know when I'm working and when I'm not. Work can be tasting wine, but tasting wine I do when I'm off work as well because I love it. A normal month for me, however, involves a lot of traveling. I tend to travel at least 250 days a year. The rest of the time I'm at home. My home is in Spain. I have my office at my home, and I work a lot from home as well. It involves keeping in touch with my clients, planning trips, planning marketing, planning sales strategies for some of the people I work with. I do absolutely everything on my own, including helping a lot of the people that surrounds me. My core business is identifying some of the greatest producers in the world, according to me, helping them becoming what I think they should be on a global level. Helping them not only selling their wine, that's a small part of it, helping them building up their image, taking them around the world, showing the world how great their wines are, which is really what I enjoy about my business. Finding something unique and then sharing that uniqueness with the rest of the world, making people happy.